Welcome back to the Fire Mountain Gems and Beads Jewelry Making Studio. My name is Rachel, and today I'm going to show you how to make this simple and elegant Swarovski crystal bracelet. So get ready, DIYers. Here's everything you need to make this bracelet at home. Here's the product we're going to be using today. Some 3mm aquamarine AB crystals from Swarovski, 3, 6, and 8mm Scarlet Glacier Swarovski crystal, and these are all bicones. We've got an aquamarine cube. We have some Miyuki gold rondelles. These are great beads that can be used in place of metal spacers. This is a Scarlet Glacier Swarovski Chaton Rivoli, and these are almost instant jewelry making settings. Here's some 12-karat gold-filled crimp beads, 4.5mm jump rings, and some 7mm jump rings. We also have a gold-plated clasp with some rhinestones and some French wire. Last but not least, we'll be using some accuflex. First thing we're going to do is measure our accuflex. So I'm going to measure out about 8 inches of this accuflex. Just ballpark is fine. Then I'm going to clip it with a pair of these clippers. Immediately going to set that aside so I don't lose it. Now we're going to mix a little bit of defcon 2-part epoxy. This is a 5-minute epoxy. So we'll measure out equal parts from each side. This plunger makes it very easy to get the right amount out of each side. And we're going to mix these two things together. Just like the name implies, you have about 5 minutes to get your crystal where you need it to be. Mix, mix, mix. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm going to grab my setting. This is a piece of polymer clay that I had laying around that I made this little stand for it. Don't throw away your scraps. I have a handy little holder for my setting, since we want to try to keep this as level as possible once we're done. We're going to put a little epoxy inside the setting. It doesn't take much, and you don't want to put so much that it oozes out. I'm going to put just a tiny bit on the other side of the Rivoli as well. And I'm going to position it to try to get it as centered as possible. All right, that looks pretty good. Well, when I turned it, I noticed I needed it to be a little more centered. Great. Just gonna set that aside and let it cure. Again, it'll take about 5 minutes to set up. All right, I'm gonna grab that wire that I was using earlier. So first thing I'm gonna do is slide a crimp bead onto this accuflex wire. I'm going to take this French wire and clip off a little piece of it. French wire is a nice way of finishing your jewelry in a more professional way than just having your accuflex showing. Sort of adds a little glamour to what you're doing. A little long for what I need, so I'm just going to clip it off. I'm going to feed that wire right back through the crimp bead. And push it up snug against the French wire. I'm ready to crimp. First one way, then the other way. All right, so that's the end. Okay, now comes the fun part. All right, we're gonna start with one Scarlet Glacier 8mm bicone. We're gonna sort of hide that crimp wire in there. You're more than welcome to clip the crimp wire short. I like to hide them a little bit into the bicone. It's really up to your personal preference, what you think is best, what you end up liking to do the best. I'm gonna put one of these gold spacers. Next comes our cube. Another gold spacer. And another large bicone. It's the first little section, and as you can see, sometimes it's not always best to leave that tail hanging out, but it gives me an added sense of security, so that's why I do it. All right, that's the first part. Got a gold rondelle, a 3mm AB crystal, aquamarine AB crystal. Another of these spacers. Oops. Now we're going to do 2 sets, so we're going to repeat this pattern twice. One Scarlet Glacier Blue 8mm bicone, an opaque gold millimeter rondelle. Then we're going to put one of these 3mm Scarlet Glacier beads. And a gold-plated rondelle. And again, we're going to do that same pattern again. $8mm bicone, rondelle, 3mm bicone, and a rondelle. All right. One more Scarlet Glacier bicone, rondelle, aquamarine bicone, rondelle, and another red bicone. All right. Next, we're going to go into a little bit of a repeating pattern. So we're going to do one more rondelle, and we're going to do 11 sets of one Scarlet Blue 6mm bicone and one opaque gold finished rondelle. That's one set. Two sets. Three. Some people like to set their whole bracelet out on like a bead board beforehand, which may be something that can help you when we're doing these major repeating patterns like this. Just lay everything out. Sometimes the jumble increases creativity, so whatever way you prefer is great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more. The thing that's great about this pattern is that you have the ability to really put different colors in if you'd like to do different colors, or if you want to do silver tone, It's really easy to just change the findings out to do a silver tone. Whoops, almost there. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One more. All right, now we're ready to end this bracelet. So we'll put on another crimp bead. I'll cut off a little bit of this French wire. Feeding my wire back through my crimp bead and back through at least one of those other crystals, although again, you don't have to do that. Just want that crimp bead to go up snug against the French wire. Now I'm ready to crimp it. I'm ready to trim my excess wire. All right, now we're ready for the next step, which is attaching the clasp. I'm going to grab one of these 4mm jump rings. And one of these 7mm jump rings. I'm going to pass that 4.5mm jump ring through the 7mm jump ring. Then I'm going to attach it to one of my French wire loops. I'm going to close it. All right. I have a 4.5mm jump ring here, and I'm going to take another closed 4.5mm jump ring, pass it through, and then I'm going to close these two. Grab another 4.5mm jump ring. And I'm going to get that rivoli I made earlier. Right, and now I'm going to put this through that chain of 2 jump rings I made earlier. Just through one of them. Closing those jump rings. So now I almost have a little chain there on top of that. One final 4.5mm jump ring that I'm going to put through the end of the clasp. I have my clasp. And then I will put on this drop. Close that jump ring. All right. Beautiful and elegant Swarovski crystal bracelet. So there you go, your very own Swarovski bracelet. Mix and match colors and findings to suit your style. Find all of these components and Swarovski crystal beads in a range of colors at firemountaingems.com.